I enjoy to see justice prevail for sure.
Canada, you probably don't know him, but every time you set foot in an airport, this guy could be your new best friend.
So this happened during your last flight now?
That's right. He has your back, or your bag, damaged as it may be.
Was it ripped before? Are you going to report it to...
They don't realize it yet, but this couple at Halifax's International Airport just got rescued by the #1 advocate for airline passengers.
Something clearly happened while...
A man whose very name, Gabor Lukacs, sends a chill through the veins of hardened airline executives all across North America.
I should tell you, this gentleman here is an airline passenger rights advocate.
Oh, okay.
We'll get back to the bag in a minute.
This is equal to 7,760 and 7,552.
You're probably wondering, who is this Superman of the friendly skies? Well, most days he's a mild-mannered math professor.
The mathematician calls his wife and says, "Honey, it's really terrible, but one box is missing."
That's by day. By night, he's a kind of superhero fighting for you. Okay, maybe not the kind with a cape, but you get the idea.
It's not a calling that I think somebody selected me for something. No, it's not a calling of that sort. It's just really listening to the most basic moral imperative: help your fellow humans.
A lesson he learned at a young age when he had a front row seat in a courtroom drama. Later, at just 16, Gabor, a child math prodigy, moved from Israel to Canada to start his PhD at York University. Yes, PhD at age 16. When his studies brought him to Dalhousie University in Halifax, he says he found his home. And then, on a trip to an academic conference, United Airlines canceled his flight, and his life as an advocate took off.
I missed the conference on account of one airline's misconduct and its lack of training of its staff, and it's simply not caring about what will be the consequences of the flight cancellation and of not reprotecting passengers afterwards.
Gabor, who is not a lawyer, took United to court and won. That was just the beginning.
It wasn't like one day I got up in the morning and decided that I am going to be a passenger rights advocate. It's more that I know that by now I know a lot about this area, and that passengers, unfortunately, have no one else to go to.
Here you go. Take Gabor on a domestic airlines flight, and the spoils he has won for passengers are all around him. Make no mistake, he takes passenger rights very, very seriously.
I think what airlines know now, that I will not be making idle threats. If I tell them, if you don't change this policy, you will be facing consequences, then it may be as soon as next day or that evening being served with papers. I'm not kidding.
So get this, you get bumped off an oversold domestic flight and delayed 6 hours, thank you know who, your compensation will now be increased to $800. And yeah, thanks to Gabor, if Air Canada damages your bag, they pay. Valuables in your suitcase go missing on a WestJet flight, they'll write you a check. And if the airline completely loses your luggage, the liability limit has gone up almost 10 times to $2,000. All thanks to this quiet mathematician turned airlines passenger rights champion, and one of the biggest pains in the airline industry's derriere.
Do you think they find you annoying?
Well, I'm sure they do. At least some people. It's a question of whom you ask. If you look at people from CanJet, I would say that their experience with me was quite different than with Air Canada. Their experience was that I was willing to actually spend a whole afternoon of my time to give a workshop for their legal team about how air passenger rights work, what the issues are, what they need to pay attention to.
Annoying? Well, we talked to one airline executive whose airline is not even off the ground.
Well, Gabor is incredibly passionate, and he's driven.
And guess what? Jim Scott of Canada Jetlines admitted he's already consulted with Gabor.
And he usually has the upper hand with both the moral argument and the legal argument, and he will not take no for an answer. He will continuously argue his points, and I think it's in the best interest to cooperate with Gabor than it is to get into a dispute.
So do you think that people are learning about their rights?
I don't think so.
And still, here in the air travel world he has helped transform, he might as well be invisible.
Do you think people around here know who you are?
Probably.
Know what you've done for them?
Probably not.
I'm wondering if you recognize this man here.
Don't recognize him, no.
You don't recognize him?
No.
He probably has done more for airline passenger rights in this country. He's fought cases up to some of the highest courts in the land.
Really?
If your bag was damaged, do you know what your rights would be?
Not really, no.
This is the guy to ask.
Oh, okay.
Gabor Lukacs has countless court challenges against the airlines to his name. He's taken on the Canadian Transportation Agency, which regulates the airline industry, 27 times, winning all but 3 cases. Come on, even seasoned lawyers would be proud of a record like that. Gabor does it in his spare time, in the living room of his Halifax home. People here on his street unaware an airline passenger rights champion is among them.
Let's take a couple of pictures. And then
Which brings us back to that battered bag. A real-life example of something Gabor fought for and won.
Since you were traveling internationally, your rights are governed by the Montreal Convention. Under Article 17 the airline is liable for damage to your baggage. I would be happy to walk over with you to Air Canada, and they need to take a report, and they will have to pay for the repair of your baggage.
They break your bag, they replace it. Even airline lawyers admit few know the rules better than Gabor.
This gentleman had his baggage actually damaged during his international flights. We are here to complete a baggage regulatory report. We'll take it up with Air Canada's baggage department. Thank you very much, sir. See you.
What did you think of Gabor Lukacs' help here?
That was brilliant because I wasn't even thinking about going and then fighting it out with Air Canada.
Make sure that you document everything, and if you're into any trouble, you know where to find me.
How noble, how moral.
You're very welcome.
On second thought, maybe he should have a cape. Tom Murphy, CBC News, Halifax.